Hello and welcome. Today we're going to dive into something that every Citrix administrator has to learn. And, a lot of us learn it the hard way. We're talking about a specific way of thinking, a mindset that really separates the good from the great. Because in the world of Citrix, the stakes are just incredibly high. And that's not an exaggeration. I mean, one single wrong click, one tiny policy change made without thinking can literally take a mission-critical app or even the entire company offline in a heartbeat.
So here's what we're going to cover. We'll start by looking at why every click carries so much weight. Then we'll get into a super simple rule to help prevent disasters. After that, we'll walk through some real-world horror stories, learn a mental trick to visualize the impact of our actions, and finally, we'll wrap up with the habits that all the best admins share.
All right, so first up, why is being a Citrix admin so different? I mean, look, every IT job has some level of risk, right? But the potential for causing a huge, immediate problem in a Citrix environment, well, that's on a whole other level. The best way to think about it is what I call the spider web effect. A Citrix site is this incredibly complex, tangled web where absolutely nothing stands alone. Every single piece is connected to every other piece. And if you just barely touch one tiny thread over here, you can send a vibration racing across the entire web instantly. And here are just some of the threads in that web. You've got delivery controllers that are constantly talking to databases, which are tied to the hypervisors, which are running the VDAs that your users get to through Storefront. And all of that is being controlled by profiles and policies. It's like this delicate, complicated dance, and one wrong move can bring the entire show to a dead stop.
So the big question is, how do you work inside this spider web without accidentally breaking everything? Well, it really comes down to one simple but incredibly powerful habit.
And this is it. It's called the 3-second pause. Before your finger even touches that mouse button to click apply or OK or run, you just stop for 3 seconds. And you ask yourself these 3 things. 1, what is this click actually going to do? 2, who is going to feel this change? And 3, maybe the most important, if this all goes wrong, do I have a plan to undo it right now? Just doing that can save you from so much trouble. Okay, let's make this a bit more real. Because, theory is one thing, but seeing how this stuff plays out in the real world, that's what makes the lesson actually stick. So let's look at a couple of common ways a simple click can turn into a huge disaster. A true classic. You're in a hurry, you just need to make one quick little change to a group policy. It seems so simple. It's just for one little group of users, one setting. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Well, there's a reason that a lot of veteran admins call group policy objects, or GPOs, the silent destroyer of Citrix environments. They are just so powerful, and if you're not paying close attention, the problems they cause can be an absolute nightmare to track down. You see, because of all this complex stuff going on in the background, like policy inheritance and loopback, a change you thought was super targeted can suddenly apply to a completely different part of your environment. And next thing you know, the entire finance department's roaming profiles are broken, or the sales team can't launch their most important app. And hey, it's not just GPOs. Think about Storefront. You click that Propagate Changes button, and boom, that one little typo you made is now instantly on every single one of your servers. Or what about restarting a broker service right in the middle of the day? You might not realize you've just turned off the brain that lets new users log in and start their sessions. This all leads us to another really key mental tool that all the best senior engineers use. It's a little mental exercise that really forces you to respect the power that you have at your fingertips. The idea is called the blast radius, and all it means is before you make a change, you have to ask yourself, if this goes completely wrong in the worst possible way, how far does the damage spread? Who and what is inside that radius? Is the blast radius tiny? Maybe you're just working on one person's session. Okay, the risk is contained. The impact is about as small as it gets. But what if your change touches a setting on a whole delivery group? Suddenly, your blast radius isn't one person anymore. It's 500 people who might get disconnected or not be able to do their jobs. The scope just grew. Big time. And what if the change affects something really core, like a database or a high-level policy? Now, the blast radius could be the entire company. Just imagine that for a second. Imagine that failure happens right when the CEO is presenting the quarterly numbers to the board from their Citrix desktop. Yeah, picturing that scenario is a pretty powerful reason to slow down and check your work, isn't it? So it's not just about preventing disaster.
How do we build the habits of a truly top-tier professional? The admin who's calm, reliable, and everyone trusts. It's all about making these mental checks second nature.
These are the signs of a senior engineer's mindset. They just don't make big changes during peak business hours. It's a rule. They document what they do. They always, and I mean always, have a plan to undo their change. They test on one machine before they roll it out to everyone. They never, ever just trust the default settings. And most of all, they don't rush. A calm admin is always a better admin. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? Your value as a Citrix Pro isn't about how fast you can click. It's about uptime. It's about reliability. It's about trust. And you build that trust by thinking clearly before you act. And let's be really clear here. The goal of this whole mindset isn't to make you afraid to do your job. It's not about being scared of the console. It's about cultivating a deep professional respect for the power of the tools you're in charge of.
And what's the payoff for all this? Well, when you adopt this mindset, you become a safer pair of hands. That makes you more reliable to your team and your users. And that reliability earns you respect. With respect comes confidence, and all of that, ultimately, just makes you a much more valuable professional. So, I'll leave you with this one question to take with you. The very next time your mouse is hovering over that OK button, just pause. Take those 3 seconds and ask yourself, what's the blast radius?